What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StillerFanTV. It's been a long layoff. I wasn't allowed to do interviews in the parking lot after Steelers games at Heinz due to COVID restrictions for all of 2020 and most of last season. But I should have posted content with live streams and Zoom calls. So that's my fault. No excuses. But it's time to sort of relaunch my channel. So here we go. Steelers opened camp today in Latrobe at St. Vincent College, and here are a few highlights, courtesy of the Pittsburgh Tribune Review, for short, the Trib. Okay, as expected, Mr. Trubisky took first-team snaps at quarterback. Mike Tomlin said he's not going to overmanage the QB competition between Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. And what he meant by that is his explanation of not overmanage it was that he wasn't going to give like a throw-by-throw, play-by-play, blow-by-blow dissertation, if you will, of the quarterback competition, of like what's going on, like every single play, and provide a practice-by-practice report card, so to speak. He just said he's not going to do that, and I'm sure that's a smart thing to do. He doesn't want this to be any more of a circus than it probably will be. Right. The second thing, wide receiver Deontay Johnson reported to camp but didn't participate in team drills today, presumably because he wants a new contract. Johnson has 1 year remaining on his deal. And if the Steelers don't sign him, or I should say re-sign him, he'll be an unrestricted free agent in the spring. I'm not quite sure how that works. You're under contract, you report to camp, and then when the rest of the team is going through its drills, you're on a field, an adjacent field, or you're by yourself in a different part of the field, like working out and running sprints, and I don't know. You can still get injured doing that stuff. So if his thought process is he doesn't want to get injured with only 1 year remaining on his contract, then why is he even out there? I don't get it. Why isn't he officially a holdout? Doesn't make sense. Also, Tyson Alualu, our nose guard, our great nose guard. He watched practice today because he's on the PUP. For those of you who don't know, that is the physically unable to perform list. He had swelling in his left knee. That's not horrible news, but it's not great news considering that Alualu broke his ankle in the second game last season and missed the rest of the year. That was a devastating injury to the Steelers last year. But the fact that he sat out today, and my guess is he'll probably sit out a good portion of at least this week. He called it precautionary, so fair enough. His teammate on the D-line, Larry Ogunjobi, didn't practice today either. He has a minor ankle injury. So that's what happened today. Thank you to Chris Adamski of the Trib for that report. What should we watch for during training camp? Here's my top 5. Excuse me. Talking makes you thirsty. First, this is a no-brainer. Quarterback. For the first time since 2004, when Ben Roethlisberger was drafted, the Steelers have a real quarterback competition. Can you believe it? Mitch Trubisky. Sorry, I had a little brain cramp there for a second. Mitch Trubisky is a free agent veteran who most experts around the league, national NFL.com, ESPN, etc. Most experts think that he's going to start. The other part of the equation, of course, is Kenny Pickett, the Steelers' #1 draft choice this past April, and a guy that the Steelers are very familiar with because he's a former Pitt Panther. The Steelers share a practice facility with Pitt on the south side. And that's probably the biggest reason the Steelers were very familiar with Pickett and so comfortable taking him in the first round. Interesting little nugget here. Peter Traeger of Good Morning Football on the NFL Network said on Monday morning show that some NFL scouts and executives think that the Steelers' offense would have been much better, much more dangerous last season with a guy like Trubisky at quarterback instead of Big Ben. I was surprised by that. But in other words, they feel that he would have been able to run Matt Canada's offense with much more efficiency. And presumably Canada's offense will add rollouts and naked bootlegs from the quarterback position, which is something that Ben Roethlisberger wasn't able to do for years. He took a lot of injuries. He lost a step, and when you get in your upper 30s and you're a professional quarterback and you've taken hits he took, you're going to lose a step. And let's not lie, Ben was never really in great shape. I mean, when he was drafted as a rookie, the Steelers had him listed as 247 pounds. And then once you're drafted as a rookie, the Steelers measure your height and they take your weight and they put that on the roster, and then that's it. So if you have an 18-year career, as Roethlisberger did, you're going to be 6'5", 247 forever. And trust me, folks, he weren't nowhere near 247. All right? The guy was like a biscuit shy. At times, he was probably a biscuit or a donut shy of 300. So anyway, let's assume that Trubisky wins the quarterback competition and he's the starter at the beginning of the year. How long will the Steelers want a number one draft pick, their QB of the future, to sit and watch? Now, that's assuming that Pickett works hard and picks up the offense and looks good in preseason games and practice. How long will Trubisky be able how long will Trubisky be able to hold him off? Stay tuned. Second thing to look for in camp, as far as I'm concerned, another no-brainer, the offensive line. The Steelers' O-line has really, frankly, been a disaster the last couple of seasons, particularly at the coaching position. It's been a revolving door. When Mike Munchak left the Steelers 3 seasons ago to make a lateral move to Denver to be their offensive line coach, Tomlin promoted Munchak's assistant, Sean Surratt, to be the O-line coach. He coached for 2 seasons, was ineffective, that's putting it kindly, got fired. And then Adrian Clem took over last season. He was pretty ineffective. He left in December, before the season was over, when the Steelers were in a playoff push. He left to take a coaching job. He took the offensive line coach at Oregon. So Pat Meyer is their new offensive line coach. He had the same position the past 2 seasons with the Carolina Panthers. I don't know much about Pat Meyer. At least he wasn't another assistant who was promoted by Tomlin, because that usually doesn't go well. I just think just as big an issue with the O-line is the talent. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of talented players in that group. They have to improve this season. Simple as that. And it starts at camp. Third, we're staying with the offensive theme here, the wide receiver core. So this year's wide receivers this year, it's a group in transition. Juju left for Kansas City. James Washington left for Dallas. The Steelers need 2 rookies to make, at least in my opinion, they need those 2 rookies to make a big contribution. Second round pick, George Pickens from Georgia, and Calvin Austin, the 4th rounder from Memphis State. And as I mentioned earlier, Deontay Johnson isn't happy about his contract. I think I can speak for Steeler Nation when I say that we aren't very happy with how many passes he drops. So I hope everything gets worked out. I hope he gets a contract that he likes. But I don't think that the Steelers should break the bank on him. I mean, he's good, but he's not great. He's been productive, but he hasn't been ultra productive. And again, there are those drops. Chase Claypool, he had a disappointing 2021 campaign after being an absolute star during his rookie season of 2020. Will Claypool break out? They also have a new wide receivers coach. Frisman Jackson is the new guy leading that group. As I said, a group in transition. Number 4, the fourth thing to look out for in camp. Let's move to the D, the defensive line. First of all, can this group stay healthy? I already mentioned that Alu is on the PUP list and Ogunjobi has a minor ankle injury. The Steelers need both of them to be healthy, especially Alu. As a nose guard in the 3-4, that position is extremely important because he's basically taken on a double team almost every snap. He's such a vital part of their defense. So I'm really hoping that the swelling in his knee goes down and he continues to manage his reps and he's smart. And I'm sure he will be smart, and the Steelers coaching staff will be smart with him too. He's a 13-year veteran. They don't think he needs to be out there playing every snap during training camp to prove anything. Are we going to see contributions from guys such as Isaiah Loudermilk, Montravius Adams, Chris Wormley, Henry Mondo? How much of an impact will rookie DeMarvin Leal have? He's a third-rounder from Texas A&M, and one of the reasons he was drafted that high is that he's got the versatility to play any position along the line, and I'm sure the Steelers are expecting some production from him. And I've read this before in several sources about Stephon Tuitt retiring. I'm not going to make any excuses about that or give the Steelers some kind of pass and saying that, Stephon Tuitt retiring hurts. He didn't play a snap for the Steelers last season. Not one snap. He was clearly very upset about the death of his brother. I think the Steelers said that he had a knee injury, but he was depressed from the moment he found out that his brother was the victim of a hit and run. And tragically, his brother died. He never got over that, but he wasn't injured. So, as far as I'm concerned, Stephon Tuitt officially retiring a couple months ago, it doesn't really change anything. The Steelers already played without him last year. Carl Dunbar, he's a good defensive line coach. I think he's going to have to get more out of this group than he did last season, but his hands are going to be tied if they suffer the kind of injuries they did last year. Fifth, and this could be the sleeper, Brian Flores. Brian Flores is the Steelers' new senior defensive assistant / linebackers. If you go to the Steelers website, that's how they list him: senior defensive assistant / linebackers. So after the Miami Dolphins fired Flores as their head coach in January, really it seemed as though he was persona non grata. There were a lot of NFL insiders who thought he was going to be out of the NFL coaching ranks for a long time, if not forever. Why? Remember, he filed a class action lawsuits against the league and several teams, the Giants being one of them, the Broncos were another one, along with the Dolphins, in which he and two other coaches alleged racial discrimination in their hiring practices. By the way, the latest on that lawsuit is that it's tied up in the courts. Last week, the NFL filed a motion in federal court to move the suit to arbitration. Regardless, when it was announced that Tomlin hired Flores, I was surprised. For the most part over the last decade, I think that Mike Tomlin seems to have surrounded himself with yes men, guys who aren't really going to rock the boat. Guys who usually just go along with whatever he says. They don't challenge him. But I don't think Brian Flores is a yes man. He's very hardworking. He's a no nonsense kind of guy. He's going to speak his mind, and hopefully he'll make more players accountable for their actions. And since he is focusing on linebackers, there's no better place to start with than Devin Bush. Now I know Devin Bush was coming back last year from a torn ACL injury, and typically the first year back for a player after he has torn his ACL is a really, really difficult year. And to say that Bush had a difficult year last year is being charitable. It didn't seem like as though it was just the injury. It just seemed like he was out of position so often. He was just horrible last year. So Flores has his work cut out for him on that front. But the guy brings tremendous experience, what Flores does, to this role. He was the Dolphins head coach, as I mentioned, the last 3 seasons. His last 2 seasons with the Dolphins, they had back-to-back winning seasons. That's the first time that's happened in Miami in 20 years. And they fired him. I don't get that at all. But he accused their owner of offering, and during the 2019 season, $100,000 per loss. You remember that whole tank for Tua thing? They got the number 1 pick. They had the most losses. They were going to get the number 1 pick, and theoretically, they were going to pick Tua from Alabama, and that's what they ended up doing. They ended up picking Tua number 1 overall as their quarterback, and that has not worked out terribly well for him. But as I said, he was the Dolphins head coach the last 3 seasons. He was on Bill Belichick's staff in New England for 11 years. And before that, he spent 4 years in the Patriots personnel department. When I heard that he became part of the Steelers coaching staff, I joked with my friends that he instantly became the Steelers' best and most qualified coach. Or was I joking? All right, that's it for tonight, people. I got to go to bed. I'm tired. You can probably tell from this video that I'm tired. More content coming this week, including what some of the guys from Steelers.com and the Trib think are the big keys for the Steelers training camp up there, Latrobe, hon. Hey, if you haven't already, public service announcement. If you haven't already, please, in the comment section below, hit the like button on this video. Leave a comment. That's in the comment section. And if you're not subscribed to StillerFanTV, why not? Well, because I haven't put content out for 2 years. Yeah, okay, I get it. There'll be more content, but subscribe, all right? Thanks. See you later.